Financial experts believe that former Steinhoff CEO Markus Jooste's death should not hinder investigations into the collapse of the multinational. Jooste, the alleged mastermind behind South Africa's biggest corporate scandal, apparently committed suicide in Hermanus in the Western Cape yesterday. Now, he was at the helm of the company when massive accounting fraud was committed at the retail group, but he has denied any knowledge of it. We will talk about this now with Chief Investments Officer at Benguela Global Fund Managers, Zwelakhe Mnguni. Zwelakhe, good morning to you, and thank you very much for your time. Maybe just also for players like yourself in the financial services sector, reaction to the news overnight.
Yeah, good morning, Iman. I think the news are unfortunate. I think any loss of life in this manner is unfortunate. But I think it's also unfortunate that the people who've lost money would never get direct answers from the deceased. So it's very unfortunate in that manner.
We'll come to the concept of no answers because, as you say, we do need to know those answers. And there's a lot of conjecture at the moment, but the likelihood of him having done all the things he's accused of doing by himself seem to be quite remote. So let's break it apart piece by piece. Let's start off with this. So it happens just over 24 hours, his passing happens just over 24 hours that he gets the news that the Financial Sector Conduct Authority slaps him with that 475 million rand fine. And then also that was included, the news that they were planning to pursue a criminal case. Share with our viewers how Steinhoff got here in a nutshell and how Jooste was pivotal in the role of the company's downfall.
Yeah, I think you have to go back to 2017 when Steinhoff could not publish their accounts because the auditors had queried the numbers in the account, that there was a misrepresentation in the numbers. And then the board subsequently conducted a review which uncovered about 6 billion euros of fraud. And at a time when the auditors refused to sign the accounts, Markus Jooste basically resigned, and that was the last time he was at Steinhoff. And the matter was then taken through two channels, the civil channel through the company, and then the criminal channel. So in the criminal channel, I was the first complainant in that, and I reported him to the police literally on the day that they came up with the numbers that they can't publish numbers. And we have since been through a long journey of investigations. I've met probably over 10 investigators. I've met probably 3 or 4 brigadiers who were overseeing the matter. And certainly the case had been built up to a solid level. And I think if there's one thing I can say, while there are lots of issues around crime in South Africa, the hopes from this experience I was actually quite pleasantly surprised. I mean, the amount of detailed work that they did and the process that they followed. And oftentimes the accusation was that why are they not arresting him? And the challenge was for them, as they said, was that if they arrest him and they haven't pieced together the evidence, what would happen is the case would be thrown out of court and then he can play victim later. So they actually followed the steps through the investigation, and his arrest was imminent. I got an update probably 4 weeks ago that his arrest was imminent. So as a complainant, they did give me regular feedback.
I want to ask you about this. How likely is it that Dirk Schneider, this is Steinhoff's former finance chief in Europe, who is now cooperating with authorities and may have helped close the net around Jooste? How much do you think that was possibly fueling what ultimately led to the reported tragedy?
Look, I don't know to what extent, but I mean, I can imagine that that would mean that the fact that one of the parties is cooperating, it basically leaves you vulnerable as a person. And let's not forget, there are actually 5 accused. So the one that's deceased is Markus Jooste, but there are 4 other accused. So the case will still go ahead as far as I know.
All right, and certainly we want to watch that because we've seen, it span both Europe and South Africa, the need to find answers and to get clarity. But I want to move on to this. And I think it's a really important point, Zwelakhe. Jooste was revered. He was admired for his ability to make vaults of cash. Talk to us about how building that type of almost mythical admiration influences the failures of people around him to follow process and to do their due diligence.
Look, I think it's a failure both at multiple levels. I think at the investment community level, at the JSE level, but also at the board level. So I think he had created this kind of aura of invincibility, and he kind of convinced people whatever he said would happen. And I think in many cases where he had said that he'd deliver a certain thing, for example, he delivered a certain amount of growth, he delivered it because he would go and buy another company and consolidate it and deliver that kind of growth. So over time, that created a reputation that people can't bet against him. And I think from where he started to where he ended up, I mean, there was over time, a development of a personality, a cult personality to some extent, that said that, he's going to make things happen. And I think the one, from our analysis at Benguela, one of the things that was driving him was the fact that there was such a big share option scheme that was worth 2 billion rands. And that was a big driver from our perspective.
I want to quickly end with this in terms of shareholders. And for ordinary folk who aren't in the space, don't understand some of the complexities, when the Financial Sector Conduct Authority, issues a fine of this level, and we've seen other people, some have been fined less, some have been fined more, some zero at all, if they didn't act on some of the insider trading tip-offs that he gave different people. What happens with this amount of money? Somebody is owed it, right?
Correct. So in theory, they should be able to get it out of his estate unless there is a forfeiture arrangement by the Reserve Bank. But as far as I know, they seized the assets, but they didn't forfeit them to the state. So the claims could still be fulfilled through the reserves that have been built. I think he had over 1.4 billion rands worth of assets in the Caesar order.
Well, thank you very much just for talking to us and for sharing your expertise on this matter. Zwelakhe Mnguni from Benguela Global Fund Managers saying there's still 4 other accused. The case in no way can simply disappear.